this use case is very much related to your analysis model. Because when you are making a analysis model, you are actually, there are various ways, because there is object-oriented analysis, structured analysis, and it gives you certain information. Analysis model is basically a model to analyze your requirement. That is, it will give you the description of what are the informational, what are the functional, what are the behavioral domains of the system. Because how system is going to work, what is the data, how it is going to function, what are the behaviors, what are the events, what are the triggers. These are all have to be catered. Okay. So these models, analysis model will change because every time you make it and sit with stakeholders, it's going to change. The analysis model is what? The definition, or you can say the idea of analysis model is the given snapshot of the present requirement. That is, for example, you have 1 to 50 requirement right now. 50 requirement, this is the analysis model. Now after say 1 month, 2 months, the requirements are 1 to 55. 5 has increased, or say 10 has decreased, 1 to 50. So the snapshot or the picture of that requirements at any given point of time is the analysis model. I hope you got the idea. The requirement snapshot is only the analysis model. So this, as you go, as this analysis model will involve, your requirement will become stable and you will provide a very good foundation for your design. So what comes under analysis model? As I said, you will use UML. Okay, that is, somebody says, some people says that the use case is the only mode of representation of requirement because it will represent the analysis model. But there are people who are saying if you are making a big software, then you need different viewpoints. That is, you need more to analysis model, not just having the use case. Because the more viewpoints you take, you will get more, omissions, more inconsistencies, more ambiguity that is present in the software. That is, or you can say in the requirements. So all this omission, inconsistency, ambiguity in the requirements can be say avoided using different viewpoints. So you cannot just be taking use case diagram. There are different ways, as I said, object-oriented analysis and structured analysis, etc. So now I'll just come to the last point, which is here. There are different levels of elaboration you can do. And this will be based on scenario-based representation. What I'm trying to suggest here is scenario-based means we are including different viewpoints. User, you are a different user, I'm a different user. Okay. For example, the basic use case, and when you take the basic use case, for example, homeowner we took, and their corresponding use case diagram, this will evolve. This will evolve because we can use some template-based use cases. For example, you have this UML activity diagram for eliciting and representing the requirements using the use case. So use cases is one thing, then making an activity diagram, and we'll talk about the state diagram also. So this will increase the requirement level. This is the simple, say, use case. Okay, how homeowner is interacting, what functions does he want, what are the primary actors, what are the secondary actors. But in order to elicit the requirement, there can be multiple levels. For example, you have to conduct meeting in first, you can use QFD, not QFD, you have to prioritize the requirement, define the constraints, the functions and the classes. Then you can start creating the use cases. Once you are creating a use case, you have to draw a proper use case diagram. But in this, you have to make an actor. You have to write the scenario. You have to complete the template as the Cogburn template I suggested you. Coming to the class-based diagram or class-based elements, because in unified modeling language, there are different say figures which are being suggested. So each use case or each use case scenario, usage scenario, it also implies certain set of objects, because when a user is going to interact with the software, there are certain set of objects. What are these objects? Objects will come from some class. Objects will be the instantiation of class. That is the object which are going to work. So these objects are nothing but they are coming from the classes. Classes are nothing but collection of things that have similar attributes and common behavior. For example, in a university, you can have a class of girls, boys, and teachers, supporting staff like this. So there can be different classes and one object. So one object will represent all the men, one object will represent all the women, like this. Okay. So this is the objects we are going to make, because these objects, this will be manipulated as actor is going to interact with the system. So basically we are talking about the variables and functions. So in UML class diagram, which I showed you here, if you see on the right top, sensor class. So in a UML class diagram, which can be used to depict a sensor class. If you are taking that same example of safe home, this is a sensor. So diagram is basically this list. The first list you see, they are the attributes. In a class, we will have variables and functions. Variables are nothing but attributes we are talking about. For example, name, type, location, area, characteristic for a specific sensor. Okay. Now, what are the functions or the operation which sensor is going to do? Identify, enable, disable, reconfigure. So the first part is variable and the functions which are going to work on this variable. So this is from we started with the actors and now we are coming up to the classes. Other analysis modeling elements. Here the classes, how they collaborate, how the classes are going to have relationship. Are you going to inherit certain classes? What are the interaction between the classes? This also comes under the analysis modeling. Okay. So this analysis modeling consists of right from the use case development till here and again going up to the behavioral elements. Now every elements have a behavior because it is going to change. The state is going to change. Whenever an actor is going to act to the system, it is interacting with the objects. Objects will be interacting with the variables and the functions. That is the attributes and the operations. The state will change. So state diagram is one method of representing the behavior of the system because it is showing different states. Because every time some event is there. Because you are standing, sometimes you are running, sometimes you are sleeping. It is your state. So state is the observable mode of behavior for the particular use case we are talking about. For the particular say scenario we are talking about. So state, it indicates what actions are taken as a result of particular event. If user does something, what are the actions need to be taken? For example, you have safe home control panel and it is taking some input. It is taking some input. So what are the say reading commands? So this is just a state diagram I'm showing. The state name is reading commands. What can be the variable? What can be the functions? That is the variable and activities. So system status is ready right now. It is the present behavior. Now it will change. If it is not ready, the things will change. I hope you got the idea. System status is ready for all you see is for ready. But if the system status is not ready, all display message, display status will change. And the state activities will also change. It will give you the behavioral elements. Analysis patterns. So we already talked about patterns. Patterns are those already known things. Those which have already been done, you know it, and it can be reused. So those requirement engineers who are quite experienced, they have worked for a while. So the requirements, they know there are certain problems. There are certain areas where the problems will reoccur. That is, if you are going to a networking project, you know what are the problems. If you are going to some other field, you know that these are the general problems which normally will come. So these analysis patterns, those patterns are kind of analysis ways which are going to suggest a solution to these problems. For example, if you are going to a networking field, the problem can be solved using opening the sockets, IPC, pipes, there are various ways. So the solutions will be on the basis of what will be the class, what will be the function and behavior that can be reused. So Geer, Schultz and Hassler, they suggested the benefits or the advantages of using this analysis pattern. First thing they said that this analysis pattern will speed up the development of abstract analysis model. Analysis model is all about requirement engineering. So to the different abstract level, that is the highest level, lower level and minute level. Here the capturing of the main requirement by providing the reusable analysis models. Because it is all about reusability and also advantages and limitation will also be known. Because analysis model is done for requirement and reusability and advantages and limitations. The second benefit he said that when you have a very good analysis model, it is a strong foundation for the design model. Okay, because now again the design pattern also can be implemented because of the common problem that can be avoided. So analysis patterns, how we are going to integrate? We talked about a pattern name, so same pattern name you will use here.